Hello. The Divine Code reading for August 1st, pages 109 and 110. We're on the chapter Serving God, prayers for prayer and grace after meals. And we're inside of the part for evening prayers. We're now on the second page of the 2 pages for the evening prayer. Psalm 51. For the choir master, a psalm by David. When Nathan the prophet came to him after he had gone to Bathsheba, be gracious to me, O God, in keeping with your kindness, in accordance with your abounding compassion, erase my transgressions. Cleanse me thoroughly from my wrongdoing and purify me of my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is always before me. Against you alone have I sinned, and done that which is evil in your eyes. Forgive me so that you will be justified in your verdict, vindicated in your judgment. Indeed, I was begotten in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Indeed, you desire truth in the innermost parts. Teach me the wisdom of concealed things. Purge me with hyssop, that I may be pure. Cleanse me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Let me hear joy and gladness, that my bones that you have shattered will rejoice. Hide your face from my sins and erase all my trespasses. Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew within me an upright spirit. Do not cast me from before you, and do not take your spirit of holiness away from me. Restore to me the joy of your deliverance, and support me with a spirit of generosity. I will teach transgressors your ways, and sinners will rejoice will return to you. Save me from blood guilt, O God, God of my deliverance. My tongue will sing joyously of your righteousness. My Lord, open my lips, and my mouth will declare your praises. For you do not desire that I bring sacrifices, nor do you wish burnt offerings. The offering desirable to God is a contrite spirit, a contrite and open heart, a broken heart. God, you do not disdain. In your goodwill, bestow goodness upon Zion. Rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Then you will desire offerings of righteousness, burnt and whole offerings. Then they will offer bowls upon your altar. One may conclude with verses of placing trust in God before sleeping. So this, in the Jewish Siddur, would be the evening prayers are one prayer said in the evening, and then another prayer is said upon retiring at night, when right before the person goes to sleep. So this would be another prayer that said. Possibly they could be said at the same time. I'm not sure, but this is the different prayer that's said at bedtime. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. You will lie down, and your sleep will be sweet. May I sleep well. May I awake in mercy. I entrust my spirit unto your hand. You will redeem me, God, God of truth. Now we have a couple of prayers that were added to the Divine Code in the second edition. They added this page 110. Now, in order, because page 110 already existed in the first edition, so in order to keep the daily readings correct, they, between the two editions, they wanted the pages to be similar. Therefore, in this chapter 6, they reduced the font for several pages during the Psalms of the Day. They reduced the font to squeeze it into one less page, which allowed a page for the prayer. This page 110, prayers for specific needs and requests. So there's two prayers on this page. Eventually, what Ask Noah's style is to go very conservative at the beginning of their, at the beginning they go very conservative, and then with that sure foundation, then they start building. First they want a clear structure, then they'll start building upon it, and that can be difficult for Noahides, because oftentimes we come in, we want to come in, we want to hit the ground running, and we're not always running correctly or running in the right direction. Therefore, that can create difficulties. So typically Noahides want to really latch on to a lot. So there's a couple other sitters behind me. This one here, the colorful one, Service of the Heart, was written some years ago by the B'nai Noach of Oklahoma, and that one has a lot of prayers added to it. And I'm not going to say there's anything difficult with either of these two sitters, except they tend to put a lot in. They're very enthusiastic. They put a lot of stuff into it. And then there's questions about whether or not things, rabbis will start arguing about whether or not we should have these things in the siddur, in a Noahide siddur. And the Brit Olam was put out a couple years ago. Again, very enthusiastic, a very positive, they really want to give a lot of meat to the Noahides to work with in their prayers. Ask Noah, in comparison, created something very, very, very basic. And what they created may seem like very little to a lot of Noahides. They come out, oftentimes they come out of the church, and the services might go on for a long time. The prayers might go on for a long time, and then to be given something so tiny when they know that the Jewish siddur, the other one there, tends to be very big, and it's very complicated. So it's a lot of times the Noahides will be put off by something, like, what are you giving us? What Ask Noah is giving us is a structure. They're giving us the basic components that then can be expanded upon. So when they expand upon it, they added this one page with these two prayers. There's many other prayers that can be added on to it, and that's going to create difficulty with the pagination. My suggestion is that the Divine Code would stay the way it is with this, and that what they will do is they'll come out with new versions of the prayer sitter, that the prayer sitter will slowly develop and come to something that's more has more in it, and that way we're not, creating confusion with the pagination for the divine code. And it's really not necessary to have all these prayers written out in the divine code. The divine code is basically, it's a book of halakha. It's not a prayer sitter, so it's not necessary to keep adding the prayers in the divine code. The two prayers, the first one, prayers for specific needs and requests. The first one, a prayer for livelihood. This is a prayer by Rabbi Moses Cordovero. May it be your will, Lord our God, that my provisions and my livelihood and the provisions of livelihood of my household be encompassing, appropriate, and virtuous in your hands. May we never be in need of the gifts of man, nor of their loans, but only of your hand, which is open, which is full, open, holy, and generous. And may my work and all my dealings be blessed and not destitute, for life and not for death. And may I merit that no desecration of the name of heaven occur through me, that I may be among the charitable and those that influence for good to everyone at all times. I fill my hand with your blessings, and for you fill my hands with your blessings, and satiate me of your goodness. For you are blessed and bring blessings to the universe. The eyes of all look expectantly to you, and you give them all their food at the proper time. You open your hand and satisfy the desire of every living being. Cast your burden upon the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never allow the falling of the righteous. Please lift my strength and raise my fortune, so that I will be able to serve you wholeheartedly all the days of the world. Amen. The next prayer is the prayer for travelers. This prayer is said outside of the city from which one is leaving, on the first day of the journey, on subsequent days of the journey until reaching home again. The prayer may be recited every morning. So when a person is going on a long trek, and may it be your will, Lord our God, to lead us in peace and direct our steps in peace, to guide us in peace, to support us in peace, and to bring to our destination in life joy and peace. If one intends to return on the same day, add, and return us in peace. Deliver us from the hands of every enemy and lurking foe, from robbers and wild beasts on the journey, and from all kinds of calamities that may come and afflict the world, and bestow blessing upon all our actions. Grant me grace kindness and mercy in your eyes and in the eyes of all who behold us, and bestow bountiful kindness upon us. Hear the voice of our prayer, for you hear everyone's prayer. Blessed are you, God, who hears prayer. And again, there's many other prayers that can be said. One thing I asked the folks that asked Noah about the prayer that said after a person relieves himself in the washroom, there's a prayer that said after leaving the room, who heals all flesh and performs wonders. And I was told that it was okay to, that would be okay to say. So there are many prayers that have been developed over the years. These will slowly be added as they are understood to be appropriate to the Noahide Siddur. Thank you.